Hello YouTube. I'm doing some service work on, I don't know what year, but it's a LeeBoy 1000F paver, tilt hopper paver, and we took out the torque hub yesterday, and there's a bearing set inside of it that is in disarray. One of the bearings is completely ground down to powder somehow and mixed with the oil and ran for years, and the other bearing carried the weight until it couldn't no more. And the problem we had was going through some soft ground, I guess with a full hopper, and the paver operator trying to muscle through that, zigzag it back and forth or whatever. And I don't know what symptom he noticed, but we started leaking oil from the I keep forgetting the name already. The torque hub, which is a transmission, and it's just a 2-gear drive planetary. But getting it out was a bitch, and I kind of want to piggyback onto Marini's video series about he changed the drive, or the track drive wheel on his paver. It was a 1000D, and this paver is almost identical to that, so I just want to piggyback on his information and try to include some of my own. I don't have the torque hub with me here because the paver owner decided to send it to a hydraulic shop local to us, see if we can't get new bearings and races pressed onto it, and also a new seal set, and I'm currently waiting for the estimate on that. So I don't have it, but when I do, if possible, I'd like to take it apart. It's not that difficult to put back together, but I did have to put it back together upside down. Actually, I'll spin around and we'll talk about the one that's still here. So, obviously you take off the hydraulic pump. Oh, by the way, we cut a hole in our paver trailer for an underside access, so if you don't want to jack up your paver, this is an option. We do have it up on like a sketchy ass ramp. That's a big steel ramp. I'm actually gonna make something out of that, but until this is done, this is where it's at. But anyway, you take off the hydraulic motor. Obviously it says in the manual to not crack these lines, but the paver operator opted to crack our lines, so you have to deal with that problem probably. To get the unit out itself, we had to remove this one arm for this is the cylinder for the cutoff door, and you need it to swing out of the way just so you can access these bottom 3 bolts right here, I believe, or maybe those 3. I'm not entirely sure, but swing the cylinder out of the way. Didn't have to crack those lines, but we did that too. I know we're making all kinds of mistakes, but I'm not the project manager here, so it's when shit fucking starts going downhill, it's gonna be somebody else's fault. Anyway, you get those 12 bolts out, and what we used was, let me see if I can't get it. Yeah, that little tiny bottle jack right there. I'll zoom in a second. I got a glove in one hand. That little tiny bottle jack was in somebody's truck, and we based the bottle jack on that wheel and threaded in one of those 5/8 bolts. Actually threaded in a couple of them back in, and you just press up against that wheel with the bottle jack and push on the bolt heads, and it pushes the torque hub right out. And I had a board here right where my head is with that scissor jack holding the weight, but it just carried right through that and fell right down on the ground anyway, which is only about 2.5 feet. And once that's out, once you have your torque hub on the bench, all you need to do, there's 12 9/16 bolts that go around right there. You can see on the outer circumference, and these right here are 3/8. There's only 3 of them. They're hex Allen keys, and they hold the planetary set onto the underside of that cover. Now there's a spacer ring in between this cover and the back one, and that back cover that mounts to the frame, that's 1-inch steel frame. That cover is heavy as hell. I don't know what to call it, a spindle, a shaft, an axle, whatever, that goes right up through the middle of that and has the bearings pressed onto it. That's also heavy, and I'm assuming when they come back from the hydraulic shop, those are going to be one unit. And we're considering putting it back piece by piece. Since I took it apart, put it back together a few times, I'm familiar with how it's assembled, and I think that might be our best bet to manage the weight, because it's a very tight area. We have our tilt hopper held up with a piece of C-channel to a max extension, and all you have really up there is you can lay down on the track and that hydraulic tank, the top side of it. And there's some room, but there's not a lot, and there's almost no room below right here, so we would have no means of accurately supporting the whole entire weight of the unit while also aligning to the axle splines. So I got the idea to put the back the back case. It also has those 6 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, and 9 o'clock plugs where you fill the oil, check the oil. And that alone is probably going to be about 150 pounds. This is my estimation. And then you can put in all the remaining pieces back together after that. And then once it's all together, you can zip those. Actually, I'll probably have to leave the planet attached to this outer cover, put all the guts back in, and then try to work that on there with all the splines on the planets lined up with the outer, whatever, and then get those 12 zipped on. Otherwise, it's going to be a nightmare. I'll probably just end this video now. I just want to record some information. I'm down here cleaning. I also want to pull out this cylinder completely out, since we broke the hose off. I didn't actually break it, just unthreaded it off. It's real dirty. I just want to clean everything. So I'm just going to take this cylinder out, clean the whole cylinder up really well, clean this area really well. I've been just basically cleaning everything with diesel, dirty diesel. And that's good enough to get it started, and then probably clean it with some clean diesel to make it look nice and pretty, and then get the threads on the hydraulics cleaned so that I can screw it back together confidently, not worrying about contaminating the hydraulic system. So that's just where I'm at now. It's about 95 degrees out there. It's really hot today. So under here it's a good 10-15 degrees cooler. So I'm just whittling away with what I could. And yeah, I just wanted to get some information added to the record, to the public knowledge, because there's not a whole lot. There's a good PDF for this paver for with the Kubota engine, but we have the Hatch motor, so the serial number on this versus the serial number for that PDF is not matching up, and there's some variances. So it gives you some information, but not everything. Like for instance, this torque hub has a seal, and there's no mention of it in that PDF. I brought a speed square for a tape measure. If anybody, I don't know if this is useful information or not, but I just want to put it up there. It looks like it's about, I don't know, 2 3/4-ish diameter of the splines going in there. When you're researching stuff, you want every little piece of information you find, whether it's useful or not. So I'm just adding what I think might be useful. Other than that, it was a pretty easy process, a lot easier than I thought it would be. Our local equipment repair service is called Stevenson Equipment Incorporated. Their procedure is to drop the track, which we didn't want to do, because that involves grinding and welding, and though I'm good at welding, it seemed like an extra hassle. So didn't really want to go through that. This seemed like a better way, and with the exception of removing half of this cylinder right here, that was the only abnormal thing. And obviously replacing some boards on a trailer ain't nothing. What, about 80 bucks to repair that? That's all crapped up. Alright, I'm gonna cut it short now. If I can add more video later on regarding if I'm able to open up the torque hub or not, I'll shoot more. Otherwise, I'll just upload this and have a good one.